Imagine coming home after an afternoon of being out with people. You haven't run a marathon, you haven't carried heavy boxes, and you haven't done any hard physical work. Yet the moment you walk through the door, you feel an invisible weight bending your shoulders. Your eyelids feel heavy, you have a subtle tension in the back of your neck, and a hollow feeling in your chest makes you not want to talk. You get into bed, sleep for 8 hours, but the next day you wake up with the same gray tiredness. This exhaustion isn't muscle fatigue. Throughout the day, we are constantly taking part in an invisible exchange with the people around us. We cross paths with the coworker who uses every conversation to pour out their complaints about the world, with a family member who, under the guise of giving advice, projects their own fears and frustrations onto us, or with friends who only reach out when they need an emotional dumping ground to drop their stress, leaving relieved while we are left with the mud of their inner clutter. How many times have you felt like it is your job to save others from the weight of their own bitterness? We have been taught to believe that protecting our inner peace requires building high, thick stone walls. We naively think that strength means putting on rigid armor, arguing, setting boundaries with a frown, and actively fighting other people's negativity. But rigid armor weighs a ton, cuts you off from the world, and ends up draining your own energy reserves just from the effort of keeping it upright. The ancient wise men of the mountain forests discovered that true strength doesn't lie in the hardness of a wall that resists a blow, but in the clarity of water that shapes itself around it. Today, we're going to explore the art of non-resistance in our relationships. We will understand why your need to justify your boundaries is actually the crack where your peace leaks out, and how learning to act like a clean mirror, reflecting everything but holding on to nothing, can give you back complete control of your own energy. To solve the problem of emotional drain, we first have to understand our part in it. Most people who suffer from chronic exhaustion because of others define themselves as emotional sponges. They say with a mix of pride and resignation, "I'm just too empathetic. I absorb the energy of places and people." But being a sponge isn't an inevitable biological trait. It is a habit of the mind that you can unlearn. A sponge absorbs because it lacks internal boundaries. When someone comes to you with a complaint, a drama, or a flash of anger, and you switch to sponge mode, you are taking on a problem that isn't yours. You listen with physical tension in your body, you try to find solutions to their personal drama, you worry about their future, and you let their words seep into your own emotional stream. You are opening the front door of your mind and letting others leave their trash in the middle of your hallway. A mirror is the most receptive object in the world. It doesn't reject any image placed in front of it. If an angry person stands before a mirror, it reflects their angry face with perfect accuracy. It doesn't try to calm them down, it doesn't argue with them, it doesn't get offended by their frown, and it doesn't try to fix their expression. It simply shows what is there. And most importantly, when the person walks away, the mirror doesn't keep the image of their anger. The mirror goes back to being completely empty, clean, and ready for the next reflection. It doesn't sit there overthinking, "Why did they look at me like that?" or "How can I convince them to smile?" Protecting your energy is learning to act with the neutrality of a mirror. When you are in front of someone venting their frustration on you, don't try to be their sponge or their savior. Simply reflect their reality with presence and compassion, but without taking it personally. Listen to their words, but watch their emotional state with the distance of someone watching the rain through a window. Their storm belongs to their own landscape. You are just the quiet witness who chooses not to get wet. Why do arguments, provocations, or passive-aggressive comments from difficult people drain us so much? Because we offer them a hard surface to slam into. When someone throws an insult, a mean comment, or a constant complaint at you, and you respond with anger, excuses, or a desperate attempt to prove you're right, you are acting like a stone wall. The impact of their negative arrow hitting your rigid wall makes a deafening noise and causes massive friction. Even if you win the argument, the vibration of the blow keeps echoing in your foundations for hours or days. You have wasted your energy on the battle. The wisdom of the flow teaches us the art of non-resistance. If you shoot a sharp arrow into a thick mist, what happens? The arrow passes right through the mist without meeting any resistance. There is no sound of a crash, no tear in the fog, and the arrow simply falls to the ground under its own weight a few yards away. The mist remains mist, untouched, quiet, and light. Being like the mist means learning not to offer a rigid surface to other people's egos. If someone tries to provoke you with a passive-aggressive comment at a family dinner or work meeting, don't rush to defend yourself. Defending yourself is admitting that their arrow has the power to hurt you. Instead, take a deep breath, smile gently, and let their words pass right through you as if you were mist. Simply say, "That's an interesting point of view," or "I'm sorry you feel that way." By offering no resistance, you leave the other person with nothing to push against. There is no conflict because there aren't two people pulling on the rope. You are practicing the art of yielding to overcome. Their negativity, finding neither a wall to hit nor a sponge to absorb it, loses all its strength and falls silently to the ground. There is a very common mistake in how we understand boundaries. We confuse boundaries with aggression. We think setting a boundary means raising our voice, getting serious, and declaring a defensive war. But that kind of boundary takes so much energy that it ends up draining you just as much as the initial intrusion. A real boundary isn't a brick wall. It is simply the right amount of distance.
In ancient Asia, the empty space between two objects isn't seen as a lack of something, but as the very thing that gives meaning and beauty to the layout. In a peaceful stone garden, one rock is deliberately placed far from another so you can appreciate the space between them. In conversation, the silence before a response is what gives dignity to the message. When you are surrounded by people who drain you, the problem isn't that they have some magical power to steal your energy. The problem is that you have placed yourself too close to their gravity. You have let their inner noise become the noise in your own living room. Learning to protect your energy is learning to deliberately take a step back. You don't need to give long speeches about why you need distance, and you don't need to fight to push them away. Simply slow down how quickly you respond.
If they send you a text loaded with drama, don't reply in 2 seconds with a long paragraph trying to fix their life. Give it 2 hours. Respond with a short, kind but distant message, suggesting you trust they will find a way to handle it. By widening the space between the trigger of their complaint and the timing of your response, you cool down the temperature of the interaction. The right distance is an act of kindness to both of you. It lets the other person take responsibility for their own growth, and it lets you keep your vital energy intact for the things and people that actually nourish your spirit. This protective space isn't selfish isolation. It is the room you need for your own light to rest and recharge.
We all know people whose minds are like a muddy puddle in the middle of a dirt road. It only takes a light breeze or someone walking nearby to stir up the mud and make everything cloudy, thick, and dirty. If you try to stick your hand into that puddle to clean out the dirt or convince them that the water should be clear, all you will do is stain your own fingers. You'll just be stirring the mud with them. True wisdom invites us to cultivate the identity of a deep lake. A mountain lake is immense, and its waters reach deep into the earth. If someone stands on the shore and throws a large rock with anger, the rock hits the surface with a splash, creates a few ripples of movement on the surface for a few seconds, and then sinks into the quiet depth of the bottom. The vastness of the lake absorbs the impact effortlessly. A few minutes later, the surface is a perfect mirror again, reflecting the sunlight.
The rock didn't have the power to stir up the entire lake. It only had the power to disturb the surface for a brief moment. When your inner life has depth, when you spend time resting in silence, protecting your sleep, nourishing your body, and practicing gratitude, you become that deep lake. Other people's complaints, bad moods, or daily stress no longer have the power to shake your center. They enter you like that rock in the lake. They sink into your quiet depth and lose all their energy without you having to make any active effort to defend yourself. The difference between the muddy puddle and the deep lake is a matter of inner depth. If your inner world is only an inch deep, any small criticism will feel like a tsunami that destroys everything. But if your inner world is miles deep, the fiercest storms of the outside world will only be tiny ripples on the surface of your undisturbed peace.
One of the biggest and least understood energy leaks in modern life happens when we set our boundaries. Imagine someone asks you for a favor that will cost you your rest time, or invites you to an event you simply don't want to attend because you are exhausted. You feel the awkwardness of saying no, and so, to make up for that discomfort, you start listing an endless chain of explanations. I can't go because I've had a terrible week at work, my car's in the shop, I have to wake up early tomorrow to go grocery shopping, and I also have a bit of a headache. By giving so many excuses, you send 3 damaging signals to your subconscious and to the other person. First, you show that you don't trust your own right to manage your energy. You feel like you have to apologize for taking care of yourself. Second, you are giving the other person leverage to argue against your boundary. If you say you can't go because you have to do grocery shopping, the other person can instantly reply, "Don't worry, I'll go with you later, and then we can go out." Your boundary has turned into a negotiation. The wisdom of simplicity teaches us the power of a clean no. A real boundary is a complete fact in itself. It doesn't need decorations, justifications, or excuses to be valid. When you decide to protect your time or your rest, do it with the elegance of brevity. Simply say, "I'm sorry I can't join you today, I need to rest," or "I won't be able to take on that task this time."
And stay silent. Don't add anything else. The silence that follows a clean no is the shield that protects your decision. It shows that your no comes from a place of inner strength, not guilt or fear of rejection. At first, you might feel a bit of unease, but if you can hold that silence with kindness, you will discover that the people who used to pressure you start to treat your time with immense respect. The person who respects their own energy in a quiet and firm way teaches the whole world to do the same, without needing to say a single extra word. Protecting your mind from outside influences isn't a one-time choice that magically stays in place forever. It is a daily hygiene practice, something you must do with the same consistency as brushing your teeth or sweeping your floors. The next time someone approaches you to start their daily complaints about work, family, or the economy, apply the rule of non-interference. Don't nod too eagerly or use phrases that feed their drama, like, "That's terrible," or "How awful." Simply be a neutral listener. Keep your breathing steady. Feel your feet on the solid ground and quietly tell yourself the words of the mirror. "This belongs to you. I am only watching." By not feeding their fire with your words, you will notice how the conversation changes direction or dies out on its own in a few minutes from the lack of friction. Before you get into bed at night, don't take the noise of the day with you. Sit on the edge of the bed, keep your back straight but relaxed, close your eyes, and take 5 slow, deep breaths, letting all the air out of your mouth with an audible sigh. With each breath out, consciously imagine that you are letting go of other people's words, the judgments you received, and the tension built up in your body. Let all that useless baggage fall to the floor of the night. Go to sleep completely clean, light, and empty of yesterday's story. When you get a call, an email, or a face-to-face question that feels demanding or stressful, don't answer right away from autopilot. Take a deliberate pause of exactly 5 seconds. Use that quiet moment to relax your shoulders, take a breath, and remember your inner freedom. Ask yourself in that instant, is this response coming from a genuine desire to help or from a fear of making them angry if I say no? Those 5 seconds are the firewall that keeps the rush and pressure of the outside world from taking over your mind. At the end of the day, your energy is not an infinite resource to be given away out of fear of rejection or the fantasy of wanting to be the hero of someone else's story. Your vital strength is the essence of your own existence. It is the water of your own spring, the water you need to nourish your dreams, care for your physical health, and offer your best self to the few people who truly respect and honor your presence. Don't be afraid to be invisible to those who only want to use your light to cover their shadows. Don't fear the silence that remains when you choose not to participate in the noise of complaints or daily drama. Feel your body in this exact moment. Take a deep breath. Notice how your lungs expand and contract without you having to direct the process. You are safe. You are at peace. You are here. The next time the world tries to drag you into its busyness, stop. Remember the lesson of the mirror that reflects everything but holds on to nothing. Remember the water that seeks the low ground to become the ocean. Don't build walls that exhaust you. Simply become transparent to the wind of other people's storms. Because the person who learns to protect their center with the subtlety of non-resistance discovers that there is no storm in the outside world strong enough to disturb the unshakable peace of a mind that has finally decided to return to its own home in silence. Let me know in the comments, what is one clean boundary or small act of letting go that you are going to practice today to start breathing lightly again? Let's clear the cups of our minds together. Thank you for letting me share these words with you in your quiet moment today. Subscribe if you're ready to quiet the noise of autopilot and reclaim ownership of your days. Until next time.